been just booming out there. ZINZINO is hitting records again and again. And we all want to be growing this business. And we actually have this urgency, not only because we need to get the word out and tell people about ZINZINO. We don't want to run into people too late where it is really going to matter for their health. And yet also so many people are going to be streaming to this business when they really see how incredible the compensation plan is and what we're really doing. And we really don't have competition of getting the word out about this because of these products. Who else has them? And it's so important. So that means we need to talk to some people. So today on this call, I think he is not only a legend in the industry, but his knowledge, because of his background of also doing exactly what we are doing, he has learned so much, and he has such a fun way of making it simple and fun. And he's actually just hilarious. So we are so grateful every time we get him on here. So let's bring him on here. Our fantastic Mr. Tom Big Al Schreiter. Hello, Tom.
Hello, Carla.
We are honored that you're here again and taking time wherever you are in the world. I know that you travel and you speak in front of so many people. But Tom, today we're going to talk a little bit about just how we're talking to people and how we can actually speak to our prospects.
Okay, that's a good subject to choose, since that's the only one I know. A good thing is if we are afraid to talk to people or hesitant or don't want to look like a sleazy salesman or take advantage of our relatives or our relationship, we don't talk to people, even though we have something good. So what we need is either to have tremendous courage to overcome this, which I don't have, or we need to learn some words to say so there's no rejection and no icky feelings that I can do. So I will put this in the chat. For those being streamed, they probably can't see the chat, can they?
Well, actually, we're being streamed, so there's a chat online, which I also can see, and this chat with people who are zooming in. So we'll be able to see them both. And there's a lot of people who will probably watch this recording. You can still post in the chat because we all see those also. So we'll follow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Magic. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll just start with this one. And this is a good thing to say at the beginning of a presentation. And the theory behind it is we want to let people know it's an option and that they are in charge of choosing, not us. Now, this makes them feel good. They say it's an option. Okay, that means I don't have to do it. And if I'm in charge of choosing, I don't feel any pressure. Because if you're trying to sell me, I'd have to look for reasons why it doesn't work, so I have some ammunition at the end to kind of protect me. So in the chat, I put it, and if you're driving, I'll just read it. We can start off by saying, after I show you our business, you can decide. Now, we secretly told them they have to make a decision at the end by using these words. And so when we come to the close at the end of the presentation, it doesn't feel sleazy anymore because this is what we told them we would do. So I'll read the whole thing. After I show you our business, you can decide not to participate and keep things in your life as they are. Oh, okay. Or you can decide to start now and begin the countdown to firing your boss. Sound okay? And what we've done is just given them a simple little option. It's not salesy or anything. We let them choose.
I like where you're going with this, because one of the things people say is, I'm not a salesperson, and they don't want to, like I don't want to feel salesy. I don't want to feel like I'm pressuring anybody. I want people to know that we're excited about this. We've got something everybody needs. We want to get there. We want to tell people, but we also have a business that's absolutely incredible and fun. But we just need to get that word out. So I like this, Tom, because you're saying things that make it relaxed for the other person, but it's also relaxing for me.
And I'm not a total idiot. I'm okay with them making the choice because I figure whatever we offer them is probably better than what's in their life right now. So I'm okay with the option. And if they don't take the option, well, why wouldn't they take the option? Well, maybe they don't have any money. They're going through a bad time in their life. Their mother dropped them on their head and they can't make smart decisions. They have a program in their mind that salesmen are evil. You know, we can't do much about that. Most of that is outside of our control. But the way I feel is we offer somebody something better than what they have. And we say, hey, relax. You know, it's up to you to choose if you want it or not. I just want to make sure you have that extra option. And most people are reasonably smart. They can figure out having more money in their life is better than less money. Living longer is better than dying quickly. You know, it's just not hard to figure out. They don't need a math degree on this. So I kind of like this for starting off. And yeah, we can adjust it. So let me do another one here. I'll cut and paste it in. This one sounds like this. Before I show you how this works. Now, I'll read the whole thing, then I'll tell you why each sentence is chosen. Before I show you how this works, I need to tell you something important. It is okay to say no and keep your life the same. But it is also okay to say yes and change your life forever. Now, again, we've told them that they're going to have to make a decision at the end. So come the end, closing will be no big deal. So, you know, it's up to you. But here's why I chose these words. I say, before I show you how this works, that tells them that the sales presentation ain't going to happen until later. And they say, oh, okay, I don't have to fear anything. So before I show you how this works, I need to tell you something important. Now, when we say I need to tell you something important, they're thinking, oh, yeah, I better pay attention. What is it? And then we say, it's okay to say no and keep your life the same. You know, keep your problems and challenges, whatever. But it is also okay to say yes and change your life forever. And you can end it up by saying, but it's okay to say yes and start building your empire now. Or it's okay to say yes and say goodbye to inflammation and hello to rollerblading or something. So it's just a nice way of closing before we've even started. Now they know that there's going to be a closing at the end, but they're expecting, and they say it's okay because I'm in charge. No stress. I don't like rejection. So you say, okay, so what else could I do if I can't remember all that? Well, if you can't remember option, here's just a couple more closes you could use at the very end after your presentation, because it looks kind of icky at the end of our presentation when we say, and that's how it all works. You want to join? It doesn't look good. So here's a couple little phrases we could use at the end. So at the end, we could wrap it up and say, and that's it. Or we could say, yeah, the rest is up to you. Or, well, what do you think? Or, what would you like me to do now? And say, well, I guess show me how to sign up online or something. Yeah. So just simple things like that. Make it easy when we talk to people. So I don't want anybody here to think that we have to be some brave, courageous, walk on coals superstar. We just talk to people like we would at a bar. Some of you are not really maybe bar experienced, but that's how they talk in bars. So you say, well, that's all pretty good, but I need to figure out how to get there. How about some phrases to kind of start the conversation in the right direction? So I was at this seminar and there was this network marketer who sold antioxidants. He's sitting next to me in the class, and he turned to me during the break and says, isn't it great that Dr. So-and-so wanted to release his secret things to all of us? Looking around like, did I miss the first half of this conversation? So we say, how do we start without sounding like a jerk or somebody who's socially inept? So let's imagine we're at work, because people have jobs. Here's something we can say while we're on coffee break. We could say, we won't be here for the rest of our lives. Got any plans? And you know what their plans are. Haven't thought of it. Do you have any plans? And now the conversation begins. So just by asking them if they have any plans, and I haven't found anybody yet that had any plans. None. And I've done this a long time. And you say, okay, that was a kind of easy thing to say. What if I don't want to go that route? What if how else can I get them engaged? I says, well, you can ask a question. As soon as you ask a question, they have to stop, throw out whatever they're thinking in their mind, throw it out, because there's only room for one thought, and say, okay, what's the question about? Now I have to understand the question. I have to give you an answer back to the question. We really control their attention for quite a bit of time just by asking a question. So here's an example of a question we can ask. Can you name the 3 safest ways to get rich? And it will start a conversation. It could go in all different directions, but just something as simple as that will get people talking. And instead of us talking about the Minnesota Vikings or the Timberwolves, they could actually be talking about business. And it was just a simple question to add in there. You say, well, that sounds pretty good. I'm really talking to warm market people, and a lot of them are friends. So what can I say to start with them? All right. So I don't know how you all feel about coffee, but I'll just throw this out here. We could say to somebody at work or a friend, I love coffee. That takes, but 90% of people can relate. I love a coffee, and chatting off over coffee so much, I decided to get paid to do it. Would you enjoy that also? I mean, how hard is this business? You have 5 coffee breaks a day, right? Talk to 5 people, give them an option, take the volunteers. And if they say, no, you still have good coffee, how hard is this? And I don't know much about coffee. Carla's probably much better at the coffee thing. But people say, that isn't a sales pitch. That's a chance for me to sit and talk to you about anything. This one is pretty good because it's a lot of fun. And it goes like this. I have some good news and some bad news. And as soon as you say that, you just take control of their minds. And you say, is this legal? And yeah, it's legal. I checked. So if you say I have some good news and bad news, yeah, they just can't go on in life unless they know what it is. So let me ask you, what do people always want first? The bad news. So if you want to get a message across, just put any message after good news and bad news. And I'll give you an example. I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is we're getting older. But the good news is we can slow it down with some pretty good nutrition. I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news, it costs to have, some quality omega-3 oils instead of junk. But the good news is, if you get the quality, you'll actually get a benefit from it instead of wasting your money. If you want to stop anybody in the track, just say good news and bad news. I'll give you an example. My nephew, blue personality, party guy, 17 years old, takes the family car out one evening. His younger sister, who's 14, is a real straight and narrow. She can't stand her brother because he's always goofing off and having fun, and he always gets away with it. She can't stand it. So he calls midnight, and his sister answers, says, hey, what's up? And he says, I wrecked the family car. And she's thinking, all right, now he's really going to get it. So she just can't wait. So she gets mom and dad on the phone, and he gets on the phone and he says, Mom, Dad, I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is I've been in a terrible accident, totally wrecked the car. But the good news is I'm alive. And they go, oh, our favorite son. And she just grinds her teeth. It's just so easy to control people's minds. It shouldn't be legal. But can you think of all the good news, bad news things you could say? You could say some good news and some bad news. The bad news is, or what could you say for good news? You could say, well, the good news is I'm getting younger every day, but the bad news is my friends just keep getting older. And you can ask them, well, would you like to know how we're doing that? And they go, yeah. So simple little conversations work. Here's one for price. I know all of you know the basic price one. I'm assuming everybody's read the How to Start Your Nutrition book. If somebody has an objection on price, there's so many cool things you can say, but let me do this one because I don't think I've ever brought it up to this group here. It says, our prices are slightly more than the cheap copies you see online, but the difference is our product works immediately. See, that's easy for them. And they can get their head around it, and you don't really have to argue about, well, they used a special HEPA filter on the oil, or the fish were killed ethically, or they apologized to them. You don't have to do any of this. Just say this, and it pretty well wraps it up. Let's do another short one here. Because instead of presentations and long stories, I'm a firm believer that in 10 or 15 seconds, it's pretty much all over. So we might as well say something good during that time. Here's one. This is easy. Somebody complaining about the problem, you say, it's okay to relax and never fix this problem. Just keep life the same. And what are they going to do? They're going to disagree and say, oh, no, we got to fix the problem. So if they say, oh, man, just don't get paid enough, you say, hey, it's okay to, relax and never fix the problem. Just keep getting underpaid and just keep life the same. And they're going to argue and fight. And you say, that was so easy, just people reacting. Let me see. Anybody here over, I don't know, any old people we have, like over 30 on the call here, Carla?
Over 30, over 30.
Yeah, the old folks.
Mm-hmm.
Here's something we can say to them. So at work, you can say to them, we're not too old yet. Do you think we have a chance to do something more than our jobs for the rest of our lives? Starts the conversation. And if you have an option that's better than what they have now, and you have a conversation going where nobody's upset or afraid of being sold, it's pretty much a no-brainer. People can figure it out. Here's one's a little bit more salesy, just for the people here. It says, I just got to get to the point right away. Make them happy. I know you love coffee too. Are you curious how I turn my love of coffee into an extra $800 a month? Let's talk over a cup of coffee. And when you're in conversation, all the work's been done already. Because how the human mind works is they don't want to know about your business. They don't want to know about your products. The only thing they initially want to know is the outcome. So the way of looking at it is we talk to people and say, I have an option to make your life better. It's up to you to choose. And the option we give them is the outcome. There's no need for them to know any details in the meantime. So they can make a decision on the outcome with no details. And if the answer is no, well, we talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves. And if the answer is yes, we would say, oh, let me give you an example what to say. If I say, yeah, it sounds interesting. And you say, well, how do I set an appointment? What do I say? Here's 3 choices. They say, well, it sounds interesting, but I need to know more. All right. You say, well, then we should talk. Oh, when? I don't know. Tomorrow? Okay. You give them the outcome. The outcome is then you might be able to fire your boss. And you won't have that problem. So let's sort this out. Or if you're from England, let's get it sorted. That's how they talk. So all we're doing is telling them an offer. And the offer is the outcome. They will make an immediate decision. Do I want the outcome or not? Now, you say, it sounds pretty good, but I really like the old way of calling people up and set an appointment and say, when do you have a half hour free so I can come over and give you a sales presentation? And then at the end, I'm going to, try to close you and take your money and ask you to, all right, that's one way of doing it, but it's not how people do business in real life. Let's do an example here. We'll do the coffee shop again. Carla and I go to the coffee shop and sit down and have a cup of coffee. They bring out coffee and they say, Carla, do you want cream with your coffee? And she says, yeah. She says, Big Al, do you want cream with your coffee? I say, no cream with my coffee. So what does the waiter say? We have a company video. You need to review the video. We have a secret laboratory in Scandinavia that's measured 1 million different types of cream, and we have the best cream. And our cream is the best because we pet the cows in New Zealand first. And, you really, and I said, no, I just want black coffee. And the waiter leaves, walks into the kitchen, throws the cream against the wall and says, I've been rejected. It's a pyramid. I want to quit. This shouldn't be fair. And that's not how business is done. People make a decision right away. They don't want to have all this information, all the facts and figures and charts and testimonials. They sort it out right away. So here's the question for everybody here. In the chat, when did Carla and I make a decision if we wanted coffee or not? So in the chat, type in your best guess. I tell you what, it's not the next day because the waiter didn't call me up the next day and say, have you changed your mind yet? I'm just following up, just checking in. So we know it's not the next day. So this is interesting. When you decided to get together before we met from the start, right now. So the final decision was made before we even talked about the brand of the coffee, before we talked about the company founder personally stomping the grounds with his feet. How is this possible? So I like to propose this. I'm going to say that the decision was made days earlier. The decision was made that I don't want cream with my coffee maybe years earlier. And Carla, she's young, maybe just a year earlier. So do you realize because of the programs in our mind, I already made up my mind before I ever went to the coffee shop that I don't want cream with my coffee. And so when we realize this, when we meet people, they have already made up their mind if they want to do business with a salesperson. They've already made up their mind if they believe in nutrition or not. They've already made up their mind if they believe they can get better or if health comes from an antibiotic, if MLM's a pyramid. They have made all these decisions already. And that's how people can tell us no without hearing anything. And if we realize this, we say, wait a minute, all I have to do is change their minds. Well, that was a pretty dumb statement. People ain't much into change. So if they've already made up their mind, what do we do? And you say, well, do I show them more videos? Do I show them slides? Do I prick their finger again? Do I show them pictures of the company founder? Oh, what am I going to do if they say no? Well, if we ask somebody a question and they say no, Well, why don't we just ask a different question? What they might say yes to, because their mind is already made up. So for an example, I would say, do you want to spend some money on some food supplements? And what do you think their answer might be? No. But can I ask a different question? Like, would you like to live longer? Yeah. Well, then we should talk. So instead of trying to manipulate or convince or change people's minds, what we should do is just ask a different question to get the answer we want. Their minds are made up on this other stuff, and that's why we feel so sleazy trying to get them to change their mind. Anyway, we probably should go back to some cool things we could say. Here's one, because I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable about how people make decisions, but that's how it works. Here's something that really grabs people's attention. My biggest mistake was. Now, do you think people enjoy hearing bad news that happened to us? Oh, they love it. See an accident on the side of the road. People slow down just to look. Oh, man, that's really bad. That's awesome. That's how people are. But you could have a conversation and start off by saying, my biggest mistake. My biggest mistake was taking this job. My biggest mistake was thinking a college degree would make me rich. My biggest mistake was eating donuts for 32 years before I realized what it was doing to my body. My biggest mistake was just starting off like that, and you're going to have an active audience. All right, so let's try one here for all the scared people at the end, where they say no at the end of the presentation. So, you want this option, and they say, no, I don't want the option. I don't want cream with my coffee or something like that. So if you want to avoid rejection or the fear of rejection, if they tell us no, we just say, yeah, okay, it's an option, right? And then ask them quickly, what do you think would be a good next step? And this is so good because it just takes the air out of their lungs. They go, whoa, and while they're stuttering, it gives us a chance to think of what to say next or what the situation is, or maybe we could ask a different question. But asking them, if they say no or not interested, what do you think is a good next step? And do you think they plan their next step? Or do you think they've been scrolling TikTok for the last 5 years? They haven't planned anything. So they're going to stop and think about it. If we want to be creative, let's put this one in. Be a little creative with folks. We could tell them, remember, we don't have to work, but we do have to earn money. Now, do you think that might kickstart a conversation? Oh, how do you do that? How do you set that up? And then what are we going to say? Then we should talk. And you say, so all this grief about getting an appointment, I could have just said, then we should talk. And that would have taken all the stress out of trying to get an appointment. And the answer is, yeah, then we should talk. That's about 4 words. Just sorts it out. So anybody here at a job where you may not like the job? Let's try this one. You could tell your coworker, my job is as secure as my dysfunctional idiot boss. I'm worried. So I got a plan. What about you? And remember how many plans people have? None. So if we want to talk to people, if we start with the right words, we will keep the conversation focused on the business instead of it going off in different directions. I could probably do this all day, so let's do one here that you can kind of work on your own. I don't know how much time you all have, so let's try this. I wrote this book called Mini Stories. small miniature stories. We know stories is the best way to talk to people because people can't resist stories. Their subconscious mind says, I have to listen to the story all the way to the end. I cannot go on life until I know how the story ends. So if you tell a story, you rock. But we say, I'm not a good storyteller. I mean, movies are good storytellers. You go to a movie, and in 90 minutes, they start off, well, here's a big problem. And then the hero spends the whole movie trying to fix the problem, going through challenges. And at the end, it's happily ever after. That's kind of a movie. That's the plot of every movie. And you say, but I can't do that long. But could you do like 15 seconds or 12 seconds or 10 seconds? So we can make stories really, really short. And we're going to learn how to do unlimited stories. So in this book, there's all these formulas. I'm just taking this one because it's all that I had time to type before I got here. But this is 3 words. Problem, solution, outcome. That's kind of like a movie, right? Starts with the problem, the solution, they fight all the way through it and they get it solved. And at the end, they live happily ever after. And remember, the only thing people are interested in is the outcome. If the outcome is favorable, they may want more information. Okay, then we do a presentation. But a lot of people don't even want that. So I'm going to challenge everybody here to create your own stories. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to remember these 3 things. And you can make about 1 sentence on each one and you have a basic story. So let's try this. There's a lot of vitamins in the world and you don't know if you're going to waste your money on them or not. What's the solution? Only take vitamins that have been tested to work in real people. And so when I went to the tested vitamins, I noticed that I'm a real person and it worked really good. I love it. End of story. And you say, well, but I got this testimonial, I have arthritis in my hip. And all right, so you say, or my mother has it. So it says, my mother had arthritis and inflammation and all kind of health problems. And I said, Mom, you could keep your health problems as they are, or at least try something natural to see if it'll at least help. And you know what? It did. And now my mom is breakdancing and taking karate classes, and the grandchildren keep whining, Grandma, Grandma, slow down, I can't keep up. She loves it. End of story. Problem. Every day I went to work with my dream-sucking vampire boss, taking little bits of my brain out every day, turning me into a human zombie. But I didn't have the guts to start my own business and quit my job, but I did start a part-time business. And it grew big enough I could quit my job. And now I'm the happiest guy in the world. I wake up on Mondays and I like Mondays. The end. So how many people here think you can make up some miniature stories? You have your own personal testimonials. Make them into a mini story so it doesn't sound like a sales pitch. You say, I have testimonials of my customers. Do that. Let me finish with 2 things of advice. Number 1 is, if we start in this business and if you start really bad like I did, here's what I noticed. Nobody was joining. I felt terrible, but I saw other people making money. So I knew it was possible, but it wasn't happening for me. But I figured out that the only thing between me and where I wanted to be was some stuff I hadn't learned yet. Because if I knew it, I'd be there. So if you're brand new or been around for a while, don't get discouraged. There just might be 1 or 2 things, or maybe a simple phrase like what we've covered here, that might be the one thing that you're missing to move forward. So if you can, try to learn something new every day. It doesn't have to be earth-shattering, but wouldn't it be fun to make up a miniature story every day? And pretty soon you had a whole bunch of them? That would be pretty awesome. I think with that, I'll let it go. I just like everybody to know that we can do this business. We don't have to be superstar, brave, courageous, walk across coals, chant affirmations, sing the company song, or any of that. All we have to do is learn how to talk to people in a way that we never get rejection, so we enjoy doing the business. So I hope you listen to lots of audios, read lots of books, go to lots of workshops and events, because maybe the next tip you pick up is going to be the best thing ever. So with that, let me turn it over to Carla, because I could talk way longer than everybody here can listen.
We love to hear absolutely everything you say, Big Al. You know, I think the number one word takeaway here is just giving that option is that key, because that way it's up to them. It's not up to you. And I also noticed one thing, because when you're just trying to be yourself and coming up with these words, you're also being genuine and you're being you and having fun with it. But I think too, it's because your intention is different. When you have an intention in here, it helps you to choose the words that gives them the option, which makes it easier for you and for them. Intention.
Yeah, people can read our faces. They can read our minds. They know if we're just trying to angle them into sell. And they also know if we're saying, hey, here's an option that'll make your life better. Now it's in your hands.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Big Al, for coming on. You are seriously, no, just so that everybody knows,